everybody to the From Overwhelmed to Confident Gluten-Free Holiday Success webinar. We are so thrilled to have so many people registered tonight. For those of you who are here, thank you for coming. For those of you who are not here and watching me on a recording, thank you for watching the recording. So on that note, we will be sending a recording of this webinar to everybody. So if you had to step out, had to go pick up a child, had to go out and do something and miss part of it, or you've missed the whole thing, you will get to see it and you can rewind it and watch it again or listen to certain parts if you so desire. So we are thrilled to be here tonight and hopefully we'll help you have an easier holiday season while you navigate celiac disease. So a little bit of housekeeping, as mentioned before, there is the chat is open for the moment. Just for respectful conversation, the Q&A along the bottom bar will be where we collect those official questions that Caleigh and I will answer at the end of the session. I think that was all for the Q&A. Anything else we wanted to mention?
No, I think that's okay. A follow-up email, you mentioned that, will be
Yeah.
sent out with a survey and all related resources. So we'll send the recipes that we share today and any links that are relevant.
Yay. And the webinar will be about an hour. If we do go a few minutes over, we understand if you have to leave. So no problem at all, but stick around for the questions if we're still on, if you can. All right, let's go to the next slide and introduce ourselves.
Perfect. Let's see. There we go.
For those of you who don't, I guess we'll do a special shout out to our sponsor, O'Dough's, who have generously sponsored this webinar, and we love O'Dough's. So thank you, O'Dough's, for the sponsorship. And then we'll introduce ourselves. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Nicole Byrom. I'm a registered dietitian with Celiac Canada. And I've been with Celiac Canada since about 2021. And my daughter, my mom, my husband, my sister-in-law, and my niece all have celiac disease. So it is not only a professional passion of mine, but it is a personal mission of mine as well to make everybody's lives a little easier with celiac disease.
And I am Caleigh McAulay. For those of you who don't know, I am a registered dietitian and I'm the health promotions and research manager with Celiac Canada. I work with Nicole and we deliver excellent programs, these webinars, a bunch of educational materials. And yeah, I'm so happy to join you. We have over 800 people registered for this webinar. So clearly there's a need and
That
yeah, I'm
is
excited to be
wild.
here. Yeah.
That is so exciting. Makes me a little
I
nervous, and I don't usually get
know.
nervous for these things. Last little thing I wanted to mention is I do a gluten-free 101 on the third Wednesday of every month. So if you enjoy this and you want a little bit more education on the foundation of how to read labels, more travel stuff, more dining out stuff, then on the third Wednesday of every month, we host a gluten-free 101. If you want to come, you can sign up on the same page on celiac.ca's website that you signed up for here. And if you want to come more than once, you are always welcome. It's a free webinar, and there's always time for questions at the end as well. And sometimes those questions go on for an hour. So lots of
Mhm.
time. My next one is actually next week, next Wednesday.
Yes.
All right, let's get started. So what we'll cover tonight is we're going to do a quick celiac refresher so everybody's on the same page, why the holidays feel challenging, and they can feel challenging, and we want to really acknowledge that. Some key findings from our State of Celiac study, navigating gatherings with confidence, which again can feel challenging, dining out and holiday travel, cross-contact hotspots and label reading, some easy gluten-free swaps for your foods, hosting gluten-free guests like myself, real life scripts and FAQs, and what to do if glutened. And then, of course, time for some live Q&A. Okay, so refresher on celiac disease. So for those of you who are new to celiac disease or who need a little bit of a refresher, remember that celiac disease is an autoimmune disease. It is not an allergy like a lot of people have referred to, but it is in fact an autoimmune disease that is triggered by gluten. Gluten is a protein found in brow ingredients, so barley, rye, regular oats, and wheat. and they're crossbred grains. Gluten damages the lining of the small intestine. So as you can see on the right-hand side, we've got that lovely normal villi with all the long finger-like projections where all the nutrients absorb. And then on the right, we have that damaged or atrophied villi. So you can imagine that the nutrients are not able to absorb as much, and that causes both short and long-term complications of celiac disease. And we know there's about 260 symptoms of celiac disease, none of which are unique to the disease. So it is very underdiagnosed. Celiac Canada is working really hard to increase advocacy for increased diagnosis. And I think we're doing a good job of it, but we still have a ways to go. And of course, the only way to treat celiac disease currently is a strict gluten-free diet. So, and it is really important. I'll just put a little plug in for something that we always get asked on the gluten-free 101s is regardless of your symptoms, the damage is still being done. So I've had so many patients and so many people say to me, well, I can have a little something and it doesn't bother me. It's not that it might not cause you obvious symptoms at the time, but it will still be doing the damage to your gut. So please, please, the only treatment for this disease is that strict gluten-free diet. All right. Okay, so why do the holidays feel so hard? Well, this is a time of year with a lot of expectations, and for those of you who are diagnosed later in life, this might be a time of year with a lot of memories and nostalgia for things, traditions that you once had. It's also a time of year where there's more food shared than any other time, so there's a lot of fear of cross contact. There's pressure to try something, or there's pressure to somebody will say, "Oh yeah, no, I made it gluten free just for you," and you're like, "Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for making that just for me." But how did you make it for me? What butter did you use? What chopping board did you use? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I know what that feels like because I'm the advocate for my daughter and my husband at most social settings. And you can feel terrified that you're going to get sick. And that is a real life experience because the holidays are not a time that you want to be out for 24 hours after being gluten badly. We've got things to do. We've got, presents to wrap. We've got other holiday celebrations to attend. So this isn't a time of year we want to get sick. So it can feel like a lot of anxiety over getting sick. It can feel like there's limited safe options. We can be at somebody's house and think and look around and look at the spread of food and people sharing spoons with things and hands going into things, and it can feel very overwhelming. You don't want to feel like a burden. I totally understand that because you don't want to stand out. I get that. Lack of understanding from others. So, as mentioned earlier, people say, I made that just for you. But they don't know what they don't know. So they think with the best of intentions, they think that they've made something safe for you, but in fact, they used regular soy sauce in something, or they've used, an ingredient that isn't safe. Well-meaning but uninformed family and friends. Dining out can feel challenging because we're often going to new places. For people who work, there will be work functions where you didn't choose the restaurant that you normally go to. There's social events. We're traveling more. And then with all of that comes mental health and emotional stress. And we really do want to acknowledge that this is a difficult time of year for people on so many levels, including those people with celiac disease who are grieving the foods they once had, or just struggling with feeling safe and not wanting to get sick, and with all of these other things. So hopefully today we will really help you to take a breath with some good education and some good tips and tricks to make this feel a little easier. And remember, you are not being difficult. The environment is making things difficult. And trust me, I've been called difficult. I've been called too much. I've been called everything. High maintenance, that was my favorite. And I'm not any of those things. I'm just protecting my family. And so really naming that and letting it go. All right, next slide. Okay, so you're not alone. Celiac Canada did an incredible study. The state of celiac and the survey results are in. And so this, I hope, will be reassuring information that of those surveyed, 81% found social meals stressful. And my family is definitely one of those 81. 68%, excuse me, 68% avoided social events that involved food. 60% struggled to ask for accommodation because it's difficult. And 57 felt burdensome due to gluten-free needs. Absolutely, yes, for my family, for all of these things. And I really am encouraging everybody here to recognize that their feelings are valid and they're extremely common. And I want everybody to learn to advocate for themselves without saying, I'm sorry. And we really need to learn that we don't have to apologize for our condition. Um, and that empowerment piece we want to work on as well. All right, next slide. So, navigating the holidays with confidence. So, again, this theme, your health is not an inconvenience. You're allowed to advocate for yourself. This is something we really want. If you hear nothing else today, I want everybody to really know that, you know, they are advocating for yourself is an important piece. So, how do we do that? How do we actually, what are some actionable items that we can use to advocate for ourselves? So, planning ahead. So, if you're going to somebody's house, if you're going to a restaurant, call ahead, plan ahead, confirm the menus. And if you know that it's going to be challenging, you can bring something of your own. You know, if it's a potluck, bring something that you know your child will like, or that you'll like, or that your family member will like. And and the one perk that we get is we're first in line at that buffet. Like our food is always on the kitchen island. And so celiacs, you're up first because then there's guaranteed no cross contamination because we know that everything has its dedicated spoon and everything is very safe. Now, in our house, we do the island is the dedicated section. The one or two gluten items, they're off somewhere else where people can go get them. So there's no risk of those spoons being switched up. So preparing that dish that you can enjoy, setting boundaries. Absolutely, you can politely decline foods that you're not certain of. And you don't even have to go into a long explanation. Something I'm learning as I'm getting older is I don't owe anybody an explanation for my choices. So you can just say, no, thank you. I'm good. Thank you so much, though, but I appreciate it, but no thanks. And no further explanation necessary. And ask questions if you want to. If you do want something, and yes, Donna, no is a complete sentence. Absolutely. Love that. And if you do want something, if you're looking at something going, gosh, that looks really good. I wonder how it was made. I wonder what's in it. Ask because often, more often than not, people want you to enjoy things and they're absolutely fine answering questions and they're absolutely fine showing you. Like I've had people say, okay, Nicole, this is the butter that we used. It was a fresh butter, or this is the packet. I saved it so you could take a look at it. People more often than not are incredibly accommodating and incredibly kind and only want you to be safe and well. So go in with that belief. That's what I go in with, a belief that everybody truly does want my daughter, my husband, my mom to be safe and to enjoy the festivities just like everybody else. So ask questions. It's not rude, it's necessary. All right, mental health. I love this image for this slide. It made me just kind of feel peaceful. So Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or whatever it is that you are celebrating over this season is about finding joy in the season of it, the culture of it, the people that are with you. It's not just about the food. We do put a lot of pressure on the food, but it truly is about the people we're with. So really kind of finding the joy in those non-food traditions, and seeking those traditions out, things that you did. If you're nostalgic about things you did in your childhood, bring those back. Have a safe person at gatherings where if you're feeling a little overwhelmed or you're feeling stressed or you're feeling panicky, um, you know, we've had situations where people have started to cry because they don't feel safe because of the food that's in front of them. My daughter has said, I don't know what I can eat, mom, even though we had planned ahead and we thought things were good. And I ran to the nearest McDonald's and got her some French fries. So have that safe person that you can confide in and say, this is how I'm feeling. Can you help me navigate this? And really opening up that authenticity and vulnerability so you can get your needs met, and that's okay. And practicing self-care, and what self-care looks like for you might be, if you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed, you're going to take a moment and step outside and take a few breaths in the fresh air. Or go to the bathroom and run some warm water over your hands, or talk to somebody, or whatever that may be for yourself. Celebrate your strengths. Everybody has so many strengths and so many gifts to share. So, really leaning into those and celebrating those. And then, of course, seeking professional support is needed, as needed. And that's exactly what you're doing tonight. So, yay. Well done, everybody. You're here tonight getting dietitian support for helping to navigate this. So, that is fantastic. So, doing whatever you need to do to make it as joyous a season as possible. Dining out. So we do a lot more dining out in the month of December. At least our family does. And I know a lot of other families do as well, whether it's, as I said earlier, corporate events, restaurants, families' houses. Now, we're really lucky because two of the families' houses that we attend both have celiac people living with celiac disease in them. So it's easier for us, but it can be really challenging. Restaurants can be very challenging, especially since, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes we all get used to the restaurants we go to. We know the drill, we know what we can order, but all of a sudden somebody says, oh, we're having a family gathering at this hotel, or we're having a family gathering here. And it's like, ah, I don't know what they serve. I don't know what their kitchen's like. So you have to do the research. So this is where you call whoever it is, or you find out, hey, where are we going for dinner that night? What's the place that you chose? And you call ahead. You look on our Facebook group and you say, hey, has anybody ever eaten you know, at Joey's in North Van? And finding out, if that is what they can do for you there. And then communicating ahead of time. So calling that restaurant. And then, I'm sorry, guys, I just noticed my daughter is had a medical appointment that she's missed, and they're just calling me. So I will get back to them in just a sec. Informing the host or hostess wait staff. So if you are going to friends' houses who don't know you very well, and so let them know, say, hey, just so you know, I'm coming with family members with celiac disease, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to contribute something, I'm going to bring something. So, and if you and just when we get there, if I can have a quick chat with you. So that is something you can do as well. Ask about the cross contact prevention. What are they doing? What cutting boards did they use? What did that look like? And then never feeling awkward for advocating for yourself. Caleigh, do you mind just talking on the next slide for a quick sec? I'm just going to text my daughter that she's missed her appointment. Sorry,
Yes,
everybody.
absolutely.
Life in real time.
No worries. So, holiday travel, we go into this a lot because it's a huge concern for people with celiac disease. Traveling, just kind of like dining out. It's when you're in unfamiliar situations and a situation that you can't control, and it can be really stressful. So, just a few holiday tips that we gathered here. Check airline menus in advance. Always check in advance. See if they have anything. Most places do offer a gluten-free dish, whether it's good or it's not, but double check. Always call in advance if you're requesting the gluten-free meal. Make sure they know that you're coming and they hold it. Pack flight-friendly snacks. So you're always going to want to pack snacks. I know Nicole packs like half a suitcase of snacks with her when she
Yes.
goes. And it's really important. And it's really important to have some for the way back too, because I know that
Yes.
not all the time you're going to
Yes.
have a grocery store available
Yes.
where you are. So really important to pack those flight-friendly snacks just in case. There's travel cards. So there's travel cards online. I forget the exact site's name, but there are it's a travel card that you present when you go to restaurants or you're traveling, and it has all the information needed for the chef to understand in their language. So there's like 63 different languages available that you can download and you can laminate it with you, put it in your wallet, and have it available on hand. There's also
Celiac,
apps.
celiactravel.com.
Yes, celiactravel.com. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Really great. And then apps. So find me gluten-free, gluten-free 24/7 app. You can download those and you can check. Those aren't regulated by any means. They're from the community. So just, go in with caution there. And then just a note, some places it differs every place you go. So, for example, for the US, their regulations differ. So, barley is not required on the label. So, just be really cautious about that when you're traveling and I would recommend looking up a celiac group before you go there and seeing if they have any different labeling regulations that you should be aware of before you go. And
Awesome.
we also have more on travel on our YouTube channel. I was supposed to link it here, but there's a video that Nicole, Aaron, and Mark did earlier this year, and it's excellent. So I highly recommend checking it out if you have any other questions about that.
Awesome. Thank you, Caleigh. Sorry about that, everybody. Teenagers. Yeah, that's amazing. And that tip on remembering for the case on the way home is really important because if you don't find things there, then that can be a challenge for sure. So
Mhm.
yes, so thank you. Traveling is amazing. We just quick note, we had Australia trip this summer that was outstanding. What an incredible place to live gluten free. Like it was just amazing. So, highly recommend. It's a long way to get there, but
Yeah, it
if it's a
is.
bucket list item of yours, it is amazing. Okay, so cross contact concerns. So, this is all from a study by Katesi, amazing physician. So, cross contact, what is it? So, occurs when gluten containing ingredient or food touches gluten free food or product. So, when we're talking, and we use this language quite freely. And I forget sometimes that people might be thinking, what is that? What is cross contact? So if you imagine somebody takes a spoon and puts it into this, it takes the spoon that was for the carrots and then thinks, "Ooh, that stuffing looks good," and then takes it and scoops the stuffing and then puts it back into with the carrots. Well, those carrots are now potentially cross contaminated or have cross contact because crumbs matter. And I've said this on the Gluten Free 101s. I need to get a T-shirt that says "crumbs matter," and only people with celiac disease will understand it, and it would be like a really cool inside joke. So I need to make that. But it is true, crumbs matter, you guys, and so we really do need to consider those small things. So, and it says here the amount is usually so small that you can't always see it, but eating 50 milligrams of gluten per day can cause intestinal damage. And in fact, within even this same study, they talked about 10 milligrams. So it's really a small amount. And if you think about what does that actually visually look like, it's about the amount of flour in the tip of a pen. So it's really a tiny amount. So it really does matter. So, and you know what? It was funny. I was sitting I took my girls out to White Spot the other night. Sorry, short story. And I was sitting, we were having dinner and the family next to us was celiac, and I could hear the dad saying the Caesar salad came out and it had croutons on it. And he said, "Oh, my son's celiac. Can you take the salad? Can we get a new salad, please?" And he said, "Please don't just take the croutons off. Please make him a new salad." And I was like, yes, he did it. Like, that's exactly what you're supposed to do because the crumbs from those croutons could cause you to get sick. So a whole new salad needs to be made. So we don't just do those. We can't just do that. Now, the salad came out a little too fast for my liking. And I would have been a little more like, did you just pick those off? The dad didn't say anything. That's okay. I would have been a bit more niggly about that. But I just don't always trust restaurants as much as I could. So this kind of thing matters. So that's what cross contact is. All right. Holiday cross contact spots. So hot spots. So we talk about these hot spots in the GF 101. I've seen a few people asking a couple of questions that I really do think would be really good answered at the GF 101. I think Christy or Christine, somebody was asking some question. Looks amazing. Okay. So let's break this down for the holidays. Buffet lines and potlucks. I talked just a minute ago. The stuffing and the carrots, this is just a really big risk. Shared utensils, cutting boards. Maybe somebody cut a loaf of French bread and then did the veggie platter, cutting the veggies on that same loaf. or excuse me, on that same cutting board. Shared grills, toasters, fryers, um, barbecues, although not everybody, I mean, in Vancouver, we actually do barbecue because it's wet, but it's not cold. So people are using barbecues even in the wintertime, and that cross contact on the grill, it's a real thing. Stuffing in bread baskets, the crumbs, they get everywhere. Spreads and dips. So you're dipping a pita or you know, um, a bagel chip into the hummus, and then you go and take your carrot into that same hummus. That's a risk of cross contact. Cookie platters. Oh, I put some gluten-free cookies on that platter for you. Well, they're bumped up right against the shortbread that contains gluten. So that is a risk for cross contact. Baking stations, there's flour everywhere. So there's just so many, it feels like a bit of an artillery zone where there's just so many different things coming at you. But really, that's where that conversation with the host or the comes beforehand. And that's also where you're front of the line. Like, and make it funny. Maybe like celiacs are first. Like, make it fun and just, you know, get the point across. That's what we do. And then you're not at risk for those shared utensils anyways. So there are hot spots. Watch out for them and keep yourself safe. All right. So for you, preventing cross contact, so washing your hands. Remember, you can touch bread, you can touch gluten. Gluten won't absorb through the skin. Okay, it's has to get into our digestive system. So we either have to ingest it, eat it, or breathe it in, which is why no loose flour is allowed in my house. Because if somebody's using loose flour and you breathe it in, it coats your throat, you swallow, and it gets into your digestive system. So we do have to be careful about that, but you can wash your hands. Absolutely no problem. Separate utensils and cutting boards. Dedicate one area for the gluten-free prep. And I like it for the gluten-free service as well. Go first in line. There we go. And then ask, what is this? How was it prepared? Can I see the label? Was it cooked in a separate fryer? Thinking like air fryers, that kind of stuff. So ask those questions. Keep yourself safe. Label reading reminders, seasonal products can change. Okay, so we see this at Halloween. We see this at over the month of December because companies are making more of things. So sometimes they're outsourcing to other manufacturing facilities. So check the ingredients, always check the ingredients. Things can change without notice. They don't have to put warnings on their product if something has changed. So always get into the habit of looking at labels to make sure. Check sauces, broths, gravies, marinades. Again, reading those labels, watching for the brown ingredients, barley, rye, regular oats, and wheat. Oats must be labeled gluten-free. There's a lot of oats in products over the holidays, lots of oats in crumble toppings and cookies. Oats have to be labeled gluten-free. Oats are highly cross-contaminated. So please, they have to be gluten-free. And high-risk ingredients, remember, if you want to know what those high-risk ingredients are, got to come to one of my gluten-free 101s. You need to have a gluten-free claim on them. So things like cookies, pasta, crackers, flours, all that kind of good stuff. Next slide. Okay, so know what to avoid. So regular gravy mixes, those are for sure going to contain wheat. So watch out for those. Traditional stuffing for sure is going to contain wheat. We've made some amazing gluten-free stuffing. My husband's done. My husband's a really good cook and he makes some, don't tell him I gave him such a positive shout out. He makes amazing gluten-free stuffing. So you can make your own. You can also buy some gluten-free stuffing. It's not easy to find, but it's available. Shared dips and spreads, watching out for those. We've talked about that. Holiday desserts, rarely gluten-free unless confirmed gluten-free. So always check those labels. And then foods to double check, seasoning packets, meat glazes, sauces, soups, meatloaves, hot dogs, imitation seafood, chocolates and candies. If you're in doubt, don't have it. So if somebody says, "Oh, I threw out the package, I'm sorry," then just say, "Okay, no problem. Thanks for checking," and move on. It's too high of a risk, and foods at this time can be too high of a risk to take. And I mean, just never take that leap of faith and assume something's gluten free. In our world, we always assume there's gluten in it until proven otherwise.
And I just want to plug too,
Yeah.
chocolates and candies. So we do a list or a guide, every single, so we do one for Valentine's Day, for Halloween, and we did one for Christmas this year. And I just want to note, it's just a guide, just some examples of some gluten-free chocolates and candies, because I know a lot of people are looking for that. So that's available on our website too, and I'll include it in the follow-up email if anyone's interested.
Amazing. Good to have. Extremely important resource to have. Okay, so some easy gluten-free swaps. So if you see, I for gravy, just off the top, we actually Clubhouse makes an amazing gluten-free gravy. Love that one. But you can use cornstarch instead of flour. For stuffing, use the gluten-free bread. It's amazing. And get like um a good thicker one. And then it makes an amazing stuffing. Gluten-free pasta for mac and cheese, gluten-free crackers. Lots of good gluten-free crackers out there now. Like there's some really, and you wouldn't even know the difference. Gluten-free oats for crumble topping. And then, veggies, potatoes, rice, salads. All of these are naturally gluten-free foods. For the turkey gluten-free, but just watch if people have stuffed that full of stuffing. So that can be a source of cross contaminant or cross contact as well. Gluten-free cookie and brownie mixes. There's tons of them out there. We found a really good gluten-free shortbread mix the other day, or just substitute for your own recipe. I honestly have not really bought any gluten-free recipe books. I just substitute everything. I like my tried and true recipes, and I just use a one-to-one flour for all and just replacing like we've have here for the gluten-free equivalent to what they're asking for. So I like to do that. I love my traditional recipes. So we just go ahead and use that, and we use the gluten-free swaps. Next slide.
Perfect. So this is just a quick commercial break. The next slide, it's a 40-second video, and then we'll be back.
Hi, I am Joanna. I am an ambassador for Celiac Canada. I have celiac disease and so does my daughter. The story of my personal journey is being told in this festive season through very Celiac Canada channel. I hope you have a chance to read it and it encourages you. I also hope you include Celiac Canada in your end of year gift giving. I assure you, they use the funds they receive so efficiently for so much impact. Please go to celiac.ca and press on the donate button. Happy holidays and safe eating! Hi, I am Joanna.
Perfect. Hopefully that played for people. So transitioning a little bit here. I do want to talk about something we've never really talked about it before here at Celiac Canada, but it's really loud this time of year, and I think it's really important. It's coming up more in research, so I do want to kind of just take some time to talk about it. So it is just reducing that diet talk during the holidays. The holidays, it brings so much good versus bad food language, just in general. People saying things like, oh, I was so bad today. I have to earn this meal. Going to a workout just to burn off a meal. Apologizing for eating a holiday cookie or just a holiday treat. And for people with celiac disease, it can feel even heavier because you are already spending so much mental energy navigating food and focusing on what's safe, what's not safe. There's so much focus around food. So this can feel really heavy. We also all know that, or you may not know, but eating disorders, they occur more frequently in people with digestive disorders, including celiac disease. And again, that's coming up more and more in research, and we're learning about that more and more. So the way we talk about food really matters. Here's what I want you to remember. You don't need to earn your food, burn off, or justify your food. It's the holidays. You're absolutely allowed to enjoy the foods that matter to you, that you enjoy without guilt. Food is not a moral issue. And the way that you speak, not about food, but about yourself matters as well. If your friend said to you that they felt guilty for eating this, you wouldn't shame them? No. So you don't shame yourself as well. Be your biggest fan. No exceptions about that. This season, I just want you to try to shift your conversation away from food judgments and towards joy, connection. Find that tradition and just remember that your worth has nothing to do with what's on your plate. Also, kind of leading off of that is the gut brain connection. It's also really important. It's being studied more and more and coming up more in research with digestive diseases. Here's the thing. So when you're stressed, your gut notices. If you're feeling guilt about food, if you're judging what's on your plate, if you're talking down to yourself, if you're tense because you're scared of being glutened, which is normal, but your gut feels all of that. For people with celiac disease, there's a very real pressure to be perfect. And it exists for a reason. It's because, if you've ever got accidentally glutened or through cross contact, you can get sick. So it makes complete sense that people become extra cautious and even hyper aware. It's really a protective response after being glutened in the past. But because that gut brain, they communicate constantly through the gut brain axis. So being in a high state of alert can also trigger digestive symptoms, even when no gluten is involved. So those symptoms that are persisting, you may also want to think about your stress levels. Is it because your body feels stressed or threatened? The goal here, I just want to be clear, it's not to be less careful. Being careful is essential here. It's what makes us healthy. But the goal is to be careful without so much fear, to support both your nervous system and your gut and your body, and to find a calmer, steadier middle ground that feels sustainable. And so, just to go off of that, we talked about the gut brain connection, how stress shows up in the body. I just want to shift into how balance can actually look like for someone with celiac disease, especially during the holiday season. So, for me, balance really comes down to being informed, not scared. You know what keeps you safe, you know what questions to ask. And when you have that information, you don't really live in fear. You can move through situations with confidence, or at least try to. And one of the easiest ways can be to use scripts, which we will have on the next slide. Having a simple sentence ready to fill those awkward moments or conversations, like asking about ingredients or declining foods, so much easier. And another tool is also bringing a safe dish that you genuinely love and you want to share with other people. It lowers that stress immediately. It's not just a backup option, it's something that you feel really excited to bring. Something else I encourage is shifting that mindset of restriction to one of addition. So instead of asking yourself, what do I have to avoid? Try asking, what can I add to this dish to make it more satisfying, more delicious? Can I add some more fiber, some more protein in this dish? Think about color and variety. So, and we also need to remember too, you need to take breaks. Our nervous system needs rest too. If you feel your stress rising, again, take a moment, step away, breathe, ground yourself. Your gut feels that calm instantly. And a question I love and one that helps people find a middle ground is, am I being careful or am I being afraid? Careful keeps you safe, and fear can keep you small, and you deserve better than that. So, the bottom line here, it's you deserve to feel safe and enjoy the holidays at the same time, and both of those can exist together. So, here, with all that in mind, here are some scripts for confident or more confident communication. Um, Something really practical that, again, it can reduce the stress immediately. with knowing what to say in real life situations. Because sometimes you can get into a situation and you dread these questions, and it can be the hardest part of actually going to a gathering, is knowing that that the question is coming from Grandpa. Um, what to do when someone hands you something you can't eat, how to ask about preparation without feeling awkward. Nicole mentioned some of this already, but having a script ready takes so much pressure off. So here's some of them. Ingredient questions. Would you mind confirming the ingredients for me? Can I take a look at that package? Sometimes it's just easier to take a look yourself, and people should understand that. Was this made using a shared equipment or utensils? And then it's important to know that you can decline food, and you can decline food politely, or sometimes not politely either. Again, what Donna said in the comments, no or no thank you, that's a full sentence and you're allowed to use it. So here are some examples again. When someone says a little won't hurt, actually, yes, even small amounts can cause a reaction. Sometimes people say, "Oh, you're doing that gluten-free thing or the gluten-free trend." And you can say, "You know what? For me, it's not a gluten-free trend. It's not a preference. It's actually a medical disease that I have to follow." So and again, yeah, when you don't want to say anything, you don't have to. You owe no one an explanation. Saying no thanks is a complete sentence, and that's all you need to do. So, some tips if you are the guest. One of the best things, again, we've said this, is to bring a dish you truly are excited about, not just a backup dish, but something that you actually love bringing, that you're excited about, you can share with others, and that others will enjoy too. It gives you a little bit more control and confidence and takes that pressure off the host. And you're then you're able to know that, something, you'll be able to eat something there, no doubt. You can set expectations early if you can, ask questions ahead of time if you're unsure. Keep a safe snack with you, eat something small before you go. And remember, you're not being difficult, you're taking care of your body. Some things just in case we have some hosts around here. If you're hosting someone who's gluten-free, it really doesn't have to be super complicated. The best way is to, keep it simple. Choose naturally gluten-free dishes. You can substitute, as Nicole said, just substitute with gluten-free options. Make sure to use those separate utensils and separate surfaces. Prep gluten-free dishes first and store them separately. Important to label those gluten-free dishes too if you have time. I know a lot of some clients say that they like when their family separates their gluten-free dishes, and just separating them makes them feel more at ease. So that's another option too. Um, Again, naturally gluten-free foods like roasted veggies, salads, charcuterie boards with those gluten-free crackers. There's deviled eggs, there's plain proteins, there's lots of options. And remember that doing one safe dish, it makes a huge difference and it's better than many unsafe ones. So transitioning into those common questions during the holiday season, here's a few. Again, what to ask your party host. So here's some additional questions. Did the turkey have gluten-containing stuffing inside? Because that can contaminate the turkey. When you added the butter or mashed to the mashed potatoes, was it a fresh stick? Because we don't want that to be contaminated. Did you prepare this meal using a cutting board that's also used for gluten-containing foods? Make sure they're separate. May I look at the packaging? And can I contribute a dish to the meal? All great questions to have on hand, and you can take a picture of that if you'd like. Alcohol, it's more common usually during the holiday season. We have some safe options for alcohol. So wine, it's gluten-free. There's gluten-free beer. and all distilled spirits, so like rum, vodka, whiskey, gin, they're all gluten-free. Where you have to be careful is, or cautious, is the pre-mixed drinks, cocktails, or coolers. So always make sure when you're looking, usually on the label, they will say if it's gluten-free or not. Sometimes it's tricky when you're doing a pre-made, when you're ordering it from a restaurant, because there's so many mixes in the drink that they add. But usually when you're going to the store, you'll be able to tell by the label. Avoid regular beer, as well as gluten-reduced beer. So gluten-reduced beer is not gluten-free. It needs to specifically say gluten-free on the label. So some frequently questioned ingredients, these come up a lot, and I just kind of wanted to touch on them a little bit. So glucose syrup and maltodextrin, so they're so highly processed that it is safe even if it's from a gluten source. So even if it's from wheat glucose syrup, it's gluten-free. The manufacturing process renders that gluten-free. Wheat starch. So there's wheat starch on the market now that is specifically gluten-free, but it's important that it's labeled. So it will be clearly labeled gluten-free, and that's when you're allowed. I know there's some flours and stuff that are on the market now, that have gluten-free wheat starch in it. So just make sure to check that label always. Malt extract, malt flavoring, and malt vinegar. Again, check that label. If derived from barley, it is not safe, but again, it will say on the label. So it can be derived from other non-gluten ingredients. So if it's made from barley, avoid. If it's not, then they're fine. Yeast extract, same thing. It will say on the label if it's derived from barley. If it is, it's not safe. If it's not, then you're good to go. And the same thing with vinegars. Um, Reading the label, it's just so important. And in Canada, the gluten ingredients, they need to be specified on the label. So they will be clearly specified either in the ingredients list or in the contain statement. So just look in both places when you're checking.
It's funny, Caleigh, right as you were talking about wheat glucose syrup,
Yeah.
somebody typed in after eights are gluten free. So, and that was that actually, I believe after eights, if they don't now, they used to say glucose syrup bracket wheat, and that was
Yeah.
always a concern. So that's a great one.
Yeah, any glucose syrup, it's so highly processed that it renders the final result gluten-free. And if you're ever wondering about these ingredients that can sometimes cause confusion, I do recommend we have an ingredient dictionary. Um, I have one in here, but I don't think you'll be able to see it with my thing that's around my camera. But I highly recommend that you go to our website and download it because it's so easy to go through. It's easy to have on hand. And, it's hard to remember all these ingredients and if they're gluten-free or if they're not. So if you're ever wondering if an ingredient is gluten-free, you can check in that document and it'll tell you what to watch for, if an item's gluten-free, or what you should look for on the label. Spices. So spices, no different from any other foods. Again, read and trust that label with the security, knowing that in here, gluten sources and all priority allergens must be declared clearly on the label in that ingredients list or in the contains statement. Same with nuts. Um, they do not include gluten ingredients. Nut mixes, maybe. You have to be careful. Same with like spices. Spices are fine, but spice mixes or spice packaging, kind of like the taco seasoning, that's when you need to be more diligent about looking on the label. But plain nuts are fine. And then some practical tips for if you've been glutened, because it happens to everyone, unfortunately. You will probably get glutened at some point in your life, but please remember that you didn't fail. It is completely normal. It happens to the best of us. We need to focus on being hydrated during that time. Allow yourself to rest and relax. Again, that brain gut connection is so important, and you need to calm down that nervous system and allow yourself to rest. Have some tea. Ginger or peppermint really soothes the stomach. A hot bath with Epsom salt, it can help with cramps, as well as a heating pad. Take Gravol if you need it to help with any nausea, vomiting. Stick to simple foods that are really easy on the stomach that you digest well. Be kind to yourself. Mistakes happen. So last night we had a fun webinar. We've never done a food demo before, but we brought on Chef Daryl. So Chef Daryl is he's the founder of DM Hospitality, and he created a bunch of appetizer and quick festive bites that you guys can bring to holiday parties. They're easy. I was so impressed as a dietitian because they're so nutritious. All of them had, plant-based sources of protein, they were so creative. He made some homemade rice crackers with homemade hummus, some deviled eggs, stuffed peppers, and more. So I highly recommend you can scan that QR code right there to watch it, or just go to our YouTube channel, Celiac Canada, and it's probably the first one on there right now. But it was an awesome food demo and something we've never done before. So it was pretty cool. And then a fun festive recipe. So this is kind of my take on gingerbread energy bites. They were so good. They were delicious. So I highly recommend, taking a picture. We'll also send these recipes in a follow-up email, but they were so good. Definitely making another batch, and they're perfect to just throw in the freezer. They're super easy to make. You just kind of throw all these ingredients together and roll them up into balls and store them in the freezer. They're great I have it for a pre-workout snack in the morning, but they're great to just grab, have on the go, or bring to a holiday party. And then Nicole's recipe, if you want to talk about that, Nicole.
Mine's not so healthy, but it is really good. And it is really easy. So mine is a very child-centric thing to, snack or treat to put together. I made this one with my 7-year-old, and we are having her kids and their family Christmas party tomorrow night. So this is our contribution. So it's really just white chocolate, candy canes, and marshmallows. Like, how easy can you get? Melt the white chocolate in the microwave. It's so much fun for your kids to crush up those candy canes. And somebody was asking earlier about gluten-free candy canes, and they're asking about dollar store ones specifically. And dollar store, grocery store, Walmart's. It doesn't matter where it is in Canada. The labeling laws are the same. So whether or not somebody was asking whether they trust dollar store food to be gluten-free, and as long as there's French and English on the label, then it is legal to be sold here in Canada, and the labeling laws are the same as everything, looking for those brown ingredients in the ingredients, the contains, and the may contain statement. So when it comes to candy canes, we couldn't find any. I ended up getting some at Whole Foods, which were really expensive, but they worked. So if you can find some that don't have any brown ingredients, that's fantastic. And then most marshmallows are. And the white chocolate we just found, somewhere too. So it was great, super easy, and really tasty.
I love that. It's a perfect, easy treat to bring to a holiday party too.
Somebody was asking the brand of mini marshmallows. I actually think ours were Western Family, which is a BC thing, a Save on Foods thing. Um, so I'm not sure for the rest of the country. I'm sorry.
And then we invite you as well to share your festive recipes. So we'd love to hear from you. What is your favorite go-to gluten-free holiday recipes? I know you have a few. So email us at meetings@celiac.ca. And what we'll do is we'll gather the submissions, if we have some, and create a beautiful community recipe for everyone who registered. I think that'd be awesome. So meetings@celiac.ca. If you have any recipes, send them in. And then a quick food bank reminder. So It's so important, during this time of year, gluten-free foods are so expensive and often limited in food banks. If you're able, please think about donating some gluten-free staples. It can make a meaningful difference for families navigating celiac disease during this time of year. And again, a big thank you to our premium sponsor, Odos, for helping make these specialty webinars possible. And I know we ran over time. I knew that would happen with this PowerPoint, but we're now open to Q&A for anyone who has a few extra minutes to stay with us. We'd be happy to answer your questions.
All right, so there's a few questions about 17 in the Q&A, so I'll read them out and we can go back and forth here. So, can you give examples of non-food traditions I can do with my kids during the holidays? Two of my kids are recently diagnosed, and this is new to my family. So, why don't I take that one? Because I've got
Mhm.
three kiddos and some, you know what? There's lots of fun non-holidays. So I'm wondering, I'm going to assume they're young. And so we did something the other day where we just took construction paper, cut it up into thin strips and made garland, like the paper garland. And that was super fun. And then, or you can cut out, making snowflakes for the window, stuff like that are really fun. Holiday drives to look around at Christmas lights. Uh, you,
That's
you
a good
know,
one.
there's or you can make your own. I know this is going to be a food one, but you can make your own gingerbread and then try to make gingerbread cookies, decorate them that way. There are lots of fun things to do with little ones. Um,
Mhm.
we love to watch, our favorite holiday movie, and then we sit with some popcorn and get in our cozies and do that. So there are lots of things that we can do around the holidays. Out here in Vancouver, anyways, the Cap Suspension Bridge, we can go see the lights. There's lots of different events that we can go to, holiday markets, so lots of different things. Go sit on Santa's lap if that's something that your kids are wanting to do. So there are lots of things to do, and framing it away from so food focus can be helpful for the kiddos.
Mhm.
Also, just finding those gluten-free substitutes, swapping out if you wanted to include some of the food things in there as well. All right.
And we have a comment off of that by
Wow.
Christian. She said songs, games, crafts, puzzles, movies,
Yeah.
TV shows, snowman making, and decorating.
Yes. All
Those are
of
all
it.
good.
All of it.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. Kristen asks, any tips on Northern Europe? I think their labeling is similar to ours. Any apps to recommend there?
Hmm. I am not sure about the apps.
I don't know if any apps either. Their labeling is very similar to here. In fact, I do believe, well, I know in the UK they have bolded allergens
Hmm.
and gluten sources. I don't know if in Northern Europe they do. If anybody knows, please pop it into the chat. Laura saying Open Food Fact app might be useful anywhere. That's a great tip. But I know that Europe is it's an easy place to be gluten free.
Yep.
At least I know that Italy, Spain, um, Portugal, all those are great places. I imagine. Oh, uh, somebody
I,
has answered. I don't see where it is. Anyways, yeah, so it should be fine. Um, if I find out anything more, Kristen, we'll mention it again.
mhm. And I
Uh,
also recommend asking the Facebook group too, because there's definitely lots of people who have traveled there that know the answer.
oh, and I see somebody here, Story Dog has said, asking about Northern Europe, they will be fine. Go to McDonald's, they will have gluten-free buns. Woohoo! Amazing. Labeling in Europe is mandated and in multiple languages. Get the travel cards from celiactravel.com. You will be surprised how many restaurants will know what gluten-free is. Amazing. Okay, there you go from a seasoned traveler. Okay, Rebecca asks, let's see the gluten-free stuffing recipe. We aren't doing turkey this year because that was my favorite part.
Um,
Oh, yeah. I don't have the recipe. It was my husband's, and honestly, he doesn't have a recipe either. He just kind of wings it. But there was people in the chat talking about gluten-free stuffing. So if anybody has a good one, please share it with Rebecca so she can have her stuffing filled turkey again, because
We have
that's
one actually. We have newly updated recipes on our website at celiac.ca. So if you check out the recipe section, there's a ton of new updates by our registered dietitian in our working group. And she actually updated a few stuffing recipes. So I'll include them in the follow-up email.
amazing. An anonymous member was asking what brand of gluten-free bread my husband used. It was Promise.
Yeah,
It was
that's
Promise
common.
that he used. Leanne, what makes a good stuffing? Stuffing's a hot topic. Okay, so we have a recipe of it on the website. That was hot off the press, right, Caleigh?
Yes, yeah, I'll definitely
Okay,
include some recipes, stuffing recipes, in the follow-up email.
go check it out. My first Christmas, like, do not and want to do my mom's stuffing. Okay, so do your mom's stuffing, Leanne, but just use a good quality gluten-free bread instead, and it will turn out just the same. Honestly, we've been doing this for over a decade. A lot of you out there who are watching, I know, have been doing it for even more, and there are so many easy swaps that you can do to have those favorites. Okay. Hey, ladies, discuss glucose, wheat. Okay. Labeling issues, glucose free. Okay. Gluten free despite the contain statement. Okay. So, yes. So, important point that glucose bracket wheat or glucose syrup bracket wheat, it
Mm,
will still say contains wheat. And I
yeah.
know we've really drilled home so often. If you see a brown ingredient in the contains or the may contains or the ingredients list, it's not safe. The exception is glucose syrup. Okay.
Yeah.
The only thing I would caution you on is check to make sure that that contains wheat is from the glucose syrup and not something else that's there. So
Hmm.
just do that quick sweep. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's a really good point.
And for
Um,
people with a wheat allergy,
yes. Yeah.
it would not be
And
safe for
that can
them.
feel fearful, right? That can feel fearful because even me, I'm like, I'm giving my daughter something that says contain wheat on it. But again, reassuring yourself, grounding yourself on the facts and not living in that space of fear that Caleigh was talking about.
Yeah.
And then just trusting the system. Okay, Kristen asks, copying Kelly's question from the general chat because I want you to know too, so important for us asymptomatics. Okay, when you say the amount of tolerable gluten varies among people with celiac disease, what do you mean? Do you mean the intestines won't be damaged as others, or would it just not experience the severity of symptoms? Caleigh, do you want to take that, or do you want me to take that one?
You can start it and I'll add what.
Add to it. Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you, Kristen, for copying Kelly's question for clarity, because this is a super important point, and it is something that comes up in our gluten-free 101s every single time. There is, so people have different severities of symptoms. You nailed it with the last part of your comment. Different symptoms for different people. You talk to one person with celiac disease, and then you talk to somebody else, and they're going to have entirely different, potentially have entirely different symptoms with different severities. The damage is still being done regardless of the symptoms. Okay, nobody who has celiac disease can has a gut that can tolerate gluten. You have
Hmm.
different tolerances and symptoms. So we have symptoms and then we have gut damage. Okay. Gut damage is all the same. I see a cat behind Caleigh, a blurry cat.
Oh,
So cute.
he just laid on the bed, so that's good. He's not bothering me.
So yeah, really important point. There is no tolerable amount of gluten for our gut,
Yeah.
but some people have different symptom presentations.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, it's talked about so much in research too, like when we go to the research conferences, that symptoms don't equate to the damage that's being done. So just because you're having symptoms or not having symptoms, it doesn't it doesn't relate to anything that's going on in your intestines. So that's, for example, asymptomatic people. They don't get any symptoms at all, but the damage is still happening to their gut. So, yeah, the severity, it's just it depends on symptoms.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned in the chat too, it's difficult when you're asymptomatic to know if you've been glutened or not. So it's a challenge for sure. So that's the importance of continuous monitoring of your TTG as well. So getting that annual check to
Hmm.
make sure you know where your levels are at is always an important part of that
Yeah.
maintenance. Anonymous attendee says, for Nicole, are you buying all-purpose gluten-free flours when you substitute one-to-one? Yes. So I'm buying,
Hmm.
um, we don't usually call out names, but I've mentioned a few different names here, and I know that a few people have talked about things. I often use Pamela's flour. It's a good one-to-one. There are lots of good ones out there, but I
Hmm.
don't have time nor patience nor baking skills to mix my own
Oh
blends.
yeah.
That's not this maybe one day, not with
Yeah.
3 kids, 2 dogs, and a cat, and working full time at the moment. That's not what I have the capacity for. So I love my all-purpose gluten-free one-to-ones.
Yes. It's the easiest for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not my passion either. So for
Yeah.
people who that's their passion, absolutely. Okay, what do you say if someone made something gluten-free, air quotes, especially for you, but you don't trust it, but you don't want to insult them? It's a great question.
Hmm.
Do you want to take that one?
Yeah,
I'm
I
happy to
would
take it as
just,
well if you want me to. Doesn't matter.
yeah, I would just, if you're comfortable, ask more questions about what's in it, how they made it. Um, Kind of, using those scripts that we provided. You can politely decline if something, comes up and you're like, oh no, I don't think that's gluten free. You can politely decline it. You can say, you're full, you ate before, it looks amazing, but no, thank you. Um, yeah, I think asking more questions, and if you don't feel safe, politely decline. Again, you owe no one an explanation. Likely they won't be insulted, but I do get it how it feels. But yeah, just use those scripts, politely decline, and just be confident.
The other one that you can use is I'm stuffed. I'm sorry, I
Yes.
just don't have any room. It looks
Yeah.
amazing, but I had so much already. I'm stuffed. So that's a
Yeah.
really easy one to just
Hmm.
be like, it looks delicious. I'm so full, but thank
Yeah.
you. And just leave it at that.
Exactly. Or even if you're, want to educate them too, you can
Mhm.
go that route too. But it really depends
Teachable
kind of who
moment.
it is. Yeah, it really depends on the situation, who it is, how comfortable you are with them. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I've gone into teachable moments with servers sometimes at restaurants.
Yes.
And doesn't always, yeah. Sometimes I could probably step back a little bit, but that advocacy piece, I just can't stop.
Yeah.
Okay, Laura Michaels asks, I've been trying different one-to-one flour mixes and reading through tons of gluten-free recipes and testing out gluten-free recipes. I cannot adjust to the taste difference in many of the gluten-free recipes.
Mm.
Made some recipes and shared with coworkers. They can't taste the aftertaste that I do. For some reason, I'm more sensitive than others to certain tastes. It makes it incredibly hard to find gluten-free recipes I like or rework my old ones. What should I do? Um, yeah, I'm sorry that has, yeah. I wonder if you've tried the Pamela's one. That seems to be one that I really like. Um, there are some Robin's baking. She's got some
Hmm.
great mixes. Laura, it sounds like you've got a passion for this, and you like baking and trying to figure out some different things. So
Hmm.
maybe there's a lot of there's some gluten-free influencers out there that have some pretty good baking tips, I would say.
Yeah, and like I said too, we have a new dietitian on our working group, and she updated so many. She loves baking as well, so she updated so many of our recipes on our
Amazing.
website. So definitely check those out because I'm sure she has a ton on there that are really good.
Okay. And then Marie asked what type of vinegar has gluten in it, and um, malt vinegar is the one with gluten in it. All other
Yeah,
vinegars are gluten-free.
yeah.
Nancy's asking if Tim Hortons hot chocolate is gluten-free. Have to read the
Um,
ingredients list.
I haven't. Yeah,
I
yeah. I
haven't
don't
read
know.
the ingredients list. So when you go, if you're going to Tim Hortons, you can say is your hot chocolate gluten-free? And they're probably going to stare at you and they're not going to know the answer because that's what always happens. And then
Yeah.
you can say, this is the next line. You say, can I see the package that it came in and read the ingredients list? And I
Yeah.
do that all the time. I do that for popcorn. If we're somewhere too, I'll say, can I see the bag that the popcorn came in? Can I see that?
Hmm.
Like, and I have no problem asking that question. If they say we don't have it, then I'll politely decline. But if you
Yeah.
can, just say, and often the answer will be, no, it's not gluten free. And you'll say, no. And then my next question to that is, do you know that for sure? Because my daughter would like to enjoy it if she possibly can. And
Hmm.
then can I please see the ingredients list? And then that's
Yeah.
okay. And sometimes you step aside, like you don't hold the line, but you can take the package then and step aside and take a look at it and then get back into line. But yeah, lots of ways to kind of navigate that one.
And I will also say too, if you don't feel comfortable, asking questions there, look online because a lot of the times I think they have all of their ingredients online. So you may be able to look at the actual hot chocolate, what's in there.
Yes.
It lists the allergens too.
Yeah.
So then you would just have to watch out for the cross contact that's
Yeah.
going on. But
Yeah.
if it's not in the ingredients, it should be fine.
Yeah. There you go. Story Dog says, my favorite holiday recipe is anything that Nicole makes. Oh, I don't know. I'm not. If it's baking, yes. If it's cooking, it's anything Chris makes, my husband. Misty, suggestions for a good chicken broth equivalent. Ooh. There are there. Sorry, Caleigh, I keep jumping in. I don't mean to keep answering your
Oh no, that's
questions.
okay.
Um, Misty, there is a brand of veg because yeah, so I'm assuming you're vegetarian. There is a vegetable broth brand that is they're like cubes and they're gluten free. I'm trying to think of, I think it's McCormick, guys. I think it's McCormick. If anybody knows the ones I'm talking about, pop it into the chat or into the Q&A, but I think it's McCormick. Yeah, and you can just use the veggie cubes. Yeah, okay, I'm correct. Yes, those are the ones. They're really good. I use them as a base for my lentil soup, and a lot of different things. So it's really yummy. Leanne, I had no idea butter could be unsafe. Could you please explain?
Mm. Yeah, so that would be for the cross contact reasons. So if someone's using butter, you know how butter can get crumbs. They can get crumbs all in it. So if they're using the butter for their gluten-filled toast, there's going to be gluten crumbs in there. So you just want to make sure that it's coming from a fresh stick or a fresh tub. Usually, butter's safe in general, but if someone else, if someone's else making you a treat, or if you're getting butter in a potluck, or yeah, you just have to be careful with cross contact. So those gluten crumbs can contaminate the butter.
Awesome. Next question, Danielle. My son was just diagnosed and is still learning to read labels. Is there a reliable app that he could use for times when he's not with me?
Mm. Yeah, so reading labels, we have lots on that. So there is the Gluten-Free 24/7 app that can be downloaded. I think it's $5, but it has a lot of
I'm just going to look it up so I can show an image of it.
yeah, it has all the ingredients. So if he's in a grocery store questioning an ingredient, for example, if there's, that glucose syrup and he's wondering if it's safe, he can type in glucose syrup, it'll come up and it'll let you know if it's allowed, if you should check label, or what to do in that situation. So that's a great one. We also have the labeling guide. So I always recommend you know, signing up for our newly diagnosed program, you get a kit mailed to your house with our most popular resources, including the ingredient dictionary, including the labeling guide, the Growing Up Celiac workbook. It's an excellent resource and it's all for free, sent right to your house. And it has everything you need really to get you started. And even if you aren't newly diagnosed but want these resources, sign up and get yourself a copy.
Can we see this? It's
Oh,
not gonna, I've got my
I
blur
know.
on. Darn it. Anyways, the gluten-free 24/7. It's green with a wheat and a line through it. for that
Yep.
one.
Yeah, so I would
Okay.
recommend that.
And Danielle, come to a gluten-free 101 and invite
Mm,
if your son's old enough, invite him to come too. Because I love that you're teaching him to read labels because that's that empowerment piece for him. And that's wonderful. Monique, please repeat the email for sending
mm.
recipes.
So meetings@celiac.ca. Send those in and we
Okay.
can gather them up if we have any and we can send them out in an email. I think that would be awesome. And I'll send mine, Nicole's, and some of Daryl's as well.
Okay. All right. We have got just a few questions left and we still have 140 people on. So are you okay for a couple more minutes, Caleigh? We'll do
Yeah,
just the
I'm good.
last few questions here. So Elizabeth asks, what do you consider a great quality gluten-free bread? Well, O'Dough's is our sponsor and they're amazing.
Yes. O'Dough's,
Yeah.
Promise.
Promise is amazing. There's tons of
Yeah.
good ones out there nowadays, everybody. Put
Yeah.
your favorites in the chat, guys. Put your favorite breads in the chat. Let us know what you love. Beverly, there seems to be a lot of questions about McDonald's French fries. I've seen those in the chat. Yeah, so
Mm,
let's address it. Let's
yeah.
address it. Do you want to talk about it or do you want me to talk about it?
You
Okay,
start,
okay.
I'll
Add to
add.
it. Okay, so
Yeah.
yes, here in Canada, I mean, think about the amount of French fries that are being, you know, being served out of a McDonald's. They have a dedicated fryer for French fries and hash browns. The hash browns and the French fries are both gluten-free here in Canada. And as long as the restaurant uses a dedicated fryer, which most of the large McDonald's use a
Hmm.
dedicated fryer, then you are absolutely fine. If you're in a smaller McDonald's, like one in Walmart,
Yeah.
for example, they might not have a dedicated fryer.
Yeah.
But most of the larger ones do. Now, again, I caution you to when you ask the person standing behind the counter, do you have a dedicated fryer? Are your fries gluten free? Even at our local McDonald's, which I know has a dedicated fryer, we've been told no, they're not gluten free. And
Hmm.
and again, you can dig a little bit deeper. Say, well, is that the only thing that goes in that fryer? Other than the hash browns, both the hash browns and the French fries are gluten free. So yes, most of the time they are. At McDonald's, what you can get is the ice cream, the smoothies, the coffees, obviously, the French fries, and the hash browns. In the States, this is not the case. So, big warning that in the US, the French fries are not gluten free. So, don't have them. They will contain gluten.
Yeah.
Anything to add to that, Kaylee?
No, I don't think so. Just the emphasis on, yeah, just making sure those smaller places. I know we have some smaller McDonald's here, in
Yeah,
PEI and
yeah,
smaller
yeah,
towns.
yeah,
Just make sure they
for
use
sure.
that separate gluten-free fryer.
Yeah. Hi, Margaret. Margaret Duthie's on. I
Oh.
had someone make me a special gluten-free cookies last Monday. She made them with cornflakes, and I said, but usually they are not safe. And she said she had specially brought some for me labeled gluten-free. So I ate them, and they were really good. Glad I could ask and estimate how careful she had been. Wonderful
Yeah.
questions. Absolutely. Thank you for that great example, Margaret. That's awesome.
Yeah. And most people, they're willing to help.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just need some guidance too, and don't feel bad for asking questions because they usually won't take offense to anything like that.
You got it. Okay, irony. I recently bought sorghum grains from Walmart, only one I could find, and the packaging said the ingredient was just sorghum and no may contain statements. I emailed the company because it was local and they said there is a risk of cross-contamination with couscous that they make. So frustrating the labels aren't accurate even in Canada with products made here.
Mm.
I'll let you take that one.
Yeah. So, with grains, they can be, there is a high risk of contamination with grains and flours. So we do recommend, all grains and flours be, including couscous, be labeled gluten-free, in order to be safe.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that is the thing. Sometimes also when you email a company too, they do give a CYA statement. Um, but it may be because of that cross contamination. But usually they would you would see that may contain on there, because companies are supposed to follow good manufacturing practices. Um, what would you think in this situation, Nicole?
Yeah, so I would say the exact same thing that Caleigh said,
Yeah,
that when it's a grain or a flour, we are buying it with a gluten-free claim on it.
yeah. Just
Kind of
because it's
plain
a
and
higher
simple.
risk.
Yeah, it's a higher risk item. So again,
Hmm.
invitation to come to one of those gluten-free 101s where we really go through what are the foods that we can read the ingredients list and know that it's safe, and what are the foods that we just always have to buy with a gluten-free claim. Because there's
Yeah,
certain foods that you just buy with the gluten-free claim and you just don't look. And lentils are one of them. So Lori was asking the next question, ties nicely into that
yeah,
other
yeah,
one. So lentils or pulses are another high risk for cross contamination. So
yeah.
Lori was asking, is there a gluten-free source of lentils? And yes, there absolutely are.
Hmm.
So Click Brand or You Pick, both
Yep,
are gluten-free. We always get the You Pick ones. If you cannot find lentils or dried pulses that are gluten-free, you can also spread them out on a cookie sheet, visually
yep,
inspect them to look to see if there's any foreign grains, and then give them a good rinse. Because remember, the lentils themselves aren't the issue. It's what was accidentally put in with the package of those lentils.
yep.
What cross contact has happened that has contaminated them. So that's so those two things kind of tie together. But yeah, there are certain things that we just know we have to purchase with a
Hmm.
gluten claim on them.
Yeah, grains, flours, pulses, cereal.
Yeah, crackers, pasta,
Yeah.
which most of those things have gluten-free claims on them, and it's so it
Hmm.
it sounds more challenging than it actually is. Okay, Lynn asks, my daughter was recently diagnosed with celiac. She is the only one in the entire family, so this is new to all of us. I finally found her gluten-free ramen noodles. That's a tough one. Well done. Australia has amazing gluten-free ramen noodles. My daughter was thrilled. Side note.
Really?
Okay, she likes them, but I'm having a tough time finding store-bought or gluten-free pork ramen broth. Any suggestions? Okay, so you're using your gluten-free ramen noodles. I'm guessing under the brand. Take the McCormick vegetable cubes that I talked about earlier and use those as the broth base, and then you can make your own ramen. That's what we do.
Yum.
If you want a gluten-free pork broth, I imagine there's a pork version or a chicken version of the cubes, but that's what we do all the time. Hopefully that's helpful. But yeah, we were thrilled in Australia. My daughter was like, and my husband was like, oh my goodness, we can get gluten-free ramen and we don't have to make it all ourselves. It was amazing. It was quite a treat. Um, the dietitian in me was like, okay, whatever. They're not very nutritious. Let's add some veggies into that. But they
Yes.
were really excited. So I get it. Gluten-free 24/7 app. Coralie is suggesting amazing. Margaret, sorry about spelling. My glasses aren't on. Totally get it, Margaret. I'm blind as a bat without mine. Joanne, just like grain storage bins, grain milling equipment cannot be
Hmm.
truly cleaned. Yes, thank you, Joanne, for that extra little bit.
Yeah.
Vonda, for grains, does that include rice? We often buy a big bag of rice. The ingredients say it's safe. Is that okay?
Yeah. Rice is good. Rice is okay. For the packages of rice, are they okay? They would be okay, right? You would just have to worry about the flavored ones or just double check the ingredients, but typically rice is fine, yeah.
Yeah, typically rice is fine. Doesn't need to carry gluten-free claim as long as there's no gluten-containing ingredients or may
Yeah.
contain. You're absolutely fine. Are the 1 liter Tetra Pak broths not gluten-free? So Maggie, again, look at the ingredients list, check them. If the ingredients list looks fine, it's absolutely safe. Link doesn't work for what? Somebody said link doesn't work. I wonder what link that is. Did somebody put a link in the chat? Oh, I don't know what link it is. Oh, the 24/7. Ugh,
Mm. Oh,
here's the
yes.
here's
So,
the issue.
yeah. Unfortunately, it's only available right now in the Apple Store. So we've been trying for so long to get it available for Google Play for everyone who has an Android, but we haven't been able to do so successfully yet. So hopefully one day we'll be able to do that. But right now, it is only available for people with um, Apple. But I will say that we have updated everything and put it onto the booklet that I was talking about. So the food ingredients booklet. So everything that you need to know is honestly, this is more updated than the app. So I would recommend downloading one of these or signing up for that newly diagnosed program, and we'll mail one
Yes.
right to your house.
Thank you for that plug. The newly diagnosed pathway or program is a 3-month program, free to sign up.
Yeah.
You get stuff delivered right into your inbox, and it's an amazing resource to meet you where you're at along your journey.
Hmm.
So that,
Yeah.
oh, one more question popped in. Our family is diabetic, and all have been told to implement more protein in the meal. Struggling with this, we don't eat beans. Okay, Julie, this is a question for a one-on-one dietitian meeting. Definitely protein. We need to get you'll be wanting to get more protein. That one, zero point 0.8 to 1.3 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight in order to keep those blood sugars stable. So having a protein source at each meal and each snack to keep the blood sugar stable. But
Mhm.
because I'm not your dietitian, I do think you need to speak to a registered dietitian just to make sure that your sugars, as well as the celiac, are all balanced. So this is a bit more complex. I just don't want to steer you down the wrong way because I don't know all of your complex health history. So sorry that I can't answer a little bit more fully, but certainly trying to cook, bake with protein powders and stevia splenda. Any suggestions for this? Look at the ingredients list. So, Julie, when you're looking, I think stevia most, again, just look at the
I
ingredients list.
think,
Yeah. I think
yeah,
Splenda's gluten
most I think
free.
are gluten-free.
Yeah, I think so as
Protein
well.
powders, you do have to be careful. There's lots with, gluten, but it
Yeah.
will say on the label, usually, and there's lots that have like a clearly gluten-free claim on the label now because, yeah, they want to market it. So,
Yeah.
there's lots out there.
Julie, for you, we do have a webinar that we did a few years ago with Diabetes Canada talking about diabetes and celiac
Hmm.
disease together. So check that out. That might be helpful for you. I know that your question was more just about those ingredients, but that might be helpful for you to watch as well. So thank you everybody so much for joining us. Oh, and then two more questions just popped in. I keep going to say, oh, it's really dry with the gluten-free flour. Oh, I'm sorry. Um, yeah, and then anonymous, I found an app called the GF Scanner, and it's available on Android and Apple. I don't know that one, so hard for us to give a shout out to it.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Yeah, but thank you everybody so much for coming tonight. We still managed to keep 118 people on for an extra half hour, so I'd say
Yeah, thank you
that's
so
great.
much.
Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful
Yeah.
holiday season. And if anybody wants to join, I will be live again next Wednesday at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern for a GF 101.
Yeah, that'll wrap up our 2025 webinar season.